Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at the Marvel Legends retro-carded Wolverine 6-inch action figure in his X-Men uniform. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, or even hit the super thanks button. I do appreciate all engagement on my channel. So like most Marvel Legends collectors, when I see yet another Wolverine figure, there really isn't any excitement. And with Hasbro coming out with the new line of X-Men characters in the X-Men uniform, this Wolverine certainly feels like the first in a whole line of cash grabs. However, in defense, I will say this figure has a couple of new and unique features that I do believe is worth having a look at. And I will go through those features in this review. Also, at the height of the 90s animated series, I was in a department store looking for a yellow outfit tiger stripe Wolverine, but all I could find was this Wolverine in his X-Men uniform. I was disappointed then, but now I suppose this figure actually hits the nostalgic spot for me. So having a quick look at the packaging, we have the bold X-Men logo right at the top, the couple of characters in this wave over here, artwork of Wolverine jumping into battle with his claws. Of course, we have the figure in the plastic tray, and he comes with one interchangeable head and two fists with his claws retracted. Moving on to the back of the card. Line work schematic for Wolverine at the top left, followed by the description of the character over here, rest of the figures in the wave, and also some product information. So let's get this guy open. Slicing the plastic bubble off the card back to unbox the figure. The two fists are cast in the yellow plastic, and there's silver paint for the ports where his claws do come out from. These two fists do appear to be the same sculpt as previous Wolverine releases, like the Tiger Stripe Wolverine from the 80th anniversary pack with Hulk, and the brown outfit Wolverine from the Juggernaut wave. And these two fists articulated inwards and outwards. And of course, these two fists pop onto the figure just fine, so you have Wolverine in his more powered down look. At first glance, I thought this Wolverine was a lot of reuse from the previous Wolverine figures. In fact, he looked really close to the Ninja Wolverine retro-carded version in terms of being Wolverine, in terms of being in a simple outfit without the usual large shoulder pads and pointy boots. However, on closer inspection, it does appear that the reused parts are his torso, his crotch piece, the two shoulder joints, and the two hip joints. Including the brand new head sculpts, the other newly sculpted parts are the rest of the arms below the bicep swivel and the rest of his legs below the thigh swivel. And the new sculpt is quite apparent because now you see that the pins are concealed at his elbows as well as his knees. He even has wider feet for better stability. As you can see over here, they are wider and flatter as compared to the more pointy feet on previous versions. I do believe this is the first time that we're seeing Wolverine having the digital dot matrix printing technique for the paint on his face. These two head sculpts are brand new, and they do share the same sculpt for the black plastic hair. It's got good sculpting for the textures and how it goes up to the back, just like a trademark Wolverine hairstyle. So I suppose that the main parts of his face are modular so that it could fit the same sculpt of hair. There's sharp paint for his eyebrows, his eyes, as well as the colors for his teeth and his lips. There's also a little bit of subtle shading around the cheeks and just below his mouth on his chin, and that brings out a little bit of the lines and wrinkles in his face. The default head sculpt looks more neutral, while the alternate head sculpt does have a snarling expression on his face. So both are good options to have Wolverine when he's calmer and when he's more agitated and getting ready for battle. The rest of his upper body is a yellow plastic with blue paint for the stripes and accents that go down the side of his outfit. As we've seen before, there's decent muscle definition, but the blue paint on the butterfly joints does appear to be applied slightly unevenly, looking slightly higher on his left butterfly joint, so that might upset your OCD a little bit. The blue paint on yellow plastic also continues to his shoulder joint. And once you get down to the rest of his arm, from his bicep onwards, that's blue plastic. And the blue plastic seems to match the blue paint quite well. There's a separate yellow plastic insert on his forearm area that leads onto his gloves. And of course the rest of his hands are the same yellow plastic with the metallic silver plastic used for his claws, extending out from the ports on his gloves that are painted in silver as well. Down the back of the figure, we see that same work with blue paint on yellow plastic, and he's accessorized by a nice shiny black plastic belt with a strip of red paint down the middle that leads into that very iconic X symbol on the front. And that's really eye-catching with all the colors coming together, bringing your attention to this very iconic X-Men uniform. Onto his legs, again, blue plastic, no paint applications that I can see, but it's accessorized by yellow plastic bands, and these are sculpted and joined onto the blue plastic. We see these bands also sculpted and joined modularly to the leg over here at the top of his boots, and that continues into more of the yellow plastic for his boots. It's also nice to see how the straps are the same for his boots, the sides of his thighs, as well as on his gloves. So overall, it's a neatly executed and very iconic X-Men uniform, and would certainly look very clean and neat with all the X-Men in their uniforms coming up, like Storm, Gambit, as well as Banshee. For articulation, his head is on a ball hinge, so you can spin his head 360. It also gets that little bit of sideways tilting, able to look down from that hinge as well as up very well, so that's great for the fastball special. Butterfly joints at his shoulders, so he can push his arms way forward. That's quite good range, and also able to pull them back quite a bit with the cut into his back over here. Let me try to get them even further back. So pulling them all the way back, that's great range, but you might also want to take care not to scratch the blue paint off the yellow plastic that's used for his shoulder parts. He's got a swivel hinge at the shoulders, so that goes 360 and hinging quite a good range outwards beyond 90 degrees. Bicep swivel for 360 spin. Double jointed elbows with the pins concealed, and he gets just beyond 90 degrees, slightly hindered by all that bulky muscle. Swivel hinge at the wrist for 360 spin, and also articulates in and out. And just as usual with these separately inserted claws, they do get a little annoying and move around. Mid-torso hinge for a good range, crunching forward and going backward as well. Waist swivel that's well disguised by that really eye-catching belt, so he goes 360. Ball joints at the hips, going out just that much. And there should also be no problems going forward and backward. Swivel at the thigh, also very well disguised by that yellow strap. Double hinged knees with the pins concealed as well, and that is actually quite good range considering his bulky leg muscles. Calf swivel that's also disguised by that strap above his boot. Ankle tilt for very good range upwards and downwards, and ankle pivot that goes out as well as in. So while we are getting yet another Wolverine action figure, I do like the engineering of the concealed pins on the newly tooled arms and legs, plus the well painted and sculpted heads do give you quite a bit of cool options, like having him in a more battle ready pose, or simply in a more neutral and calmer pose and stance. And while posing the figure, it's a slight bummer, but I do notice that the harder plastic of the torso does tend to scratch up against the softer plastic on the shoulder joints, particularly when his arms are pulled all the way back, with that shoulder part rubbing against the outer part of the joint on his torso. So you can see a little bit of scuff marks on my copy over here, and you really just want to watch out for any paint rubbing of the blue on the underside of his arms. And of course, we have so many unmasked Wolverine head sculpts released so far. I can't really remember which one comes with which, but they are all interchangeable between all these action figures. So if you do have a couple of Wolverines with you, all the head swaps would work. There might just be some subtle differences in the skin tone, like this new head sculpt on the Tiger Stripe Wolverine that came in the 3-pack with Cyclops and Jean Grey. But otherwise, all head sculpts are compatible and swappable among all Wolverine figures. For size, Wolverine stands at about 5 3/4 of an inch, and that's just over 14.5 centimeters. Here's Wolverine with a couple of X-Men in their yellow and blue outfits. There seems to be a slight difference in the tones of yellows and blues for the new X-Men body on Morph compared to the Wolverine. And here he is with Nightcrawler, Jubilee, Psylocke, and Colossus. And here he is with Mystique, Lady Deathstrike, and the 2 versions of Sabretooth. For comparisons with other lines, here he is with G.I. Joe Classified series and some Star Wars Black series. I was initially bummed out that we're getting yet another Wolverine, but I must say the small improved bits like dot matrix paint on the new head sculpts and concealed pins in the elbows and knees make this one quite a strong offering. The joints articulate well, but you have to watch out for some scratching and scuffing at the butterfly joints. Nostalgia has gotten the better of me, and I'm quite looking forward to the X-Men in yellow and blue uniforms, especially when they're executed as cleanly as this Wolverine. Please like and share this video, let me know what you think in the comments below, subscribe to my channel, or even hit the super thanks button. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay safe.